Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time. It's your friend Dom C here with the inaugural issue, episode 1 for 2026 draft cycle of the Draft Dodgers, a podcast that's here 24/7, 365, where we talk about the one thing that means most in life other than God and family, and that's the NFL draft. I'm Dom C. I'll be your host today. You can follow me on Twitter at DC_NY Jets. While you're at it, if you don't mind hitting the bell for notifications, like this video, subscribe to the channel, do all those good things so that the YouTube algorithm will kick you back up and get my content out to the masses. But alas, episode 1 of 2026 draft cycle for me. I've been very, very busy. I'm lucky enough to be asked to talk about this stuff that I love so much on various different channels with various different teams and with various different people. It's a lot of fun. Been head over heels into watching film and developing the old draft guide, if you will. And I'm ready to rock and roll now. December 11th. Thursday night, football's on. Tampa Bay is playing the Falcons, and I really don't care about that. So I said, you know what? It's time to get my channel back on the map, and there's no one I'd rather do it with than my friend from Zero Tech Draft, Newt Westen. Newt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, especially that you hit the inaugural 2026 with the Vince Lombardi God family and the NFL draft.
That's
I
it.
love that. It's a hell of a way to start. You always got to sprinkle some wisdom from the GOAT himself.
That's right. So, listen, we're both, pretty well versed and knee deep into this draft cycle. So before we get into the mock draft, give me your high level overall thoughts of the draft class. Like where's the positional groups that you like? What do you think as a whole about the class? What's exciting for you? What's not so exciting? Give me the rundown.
So I just got through, I think probably a total of 60 or 70 defensive linemen. And so my head is just spinning from that, handful of which will return. But now I'm kind of licking my chops of who do I want to tackle next? And I'm really excited by this linebacker group. Oddly enough, I really don't like scouting linebackers. It's a frustrating position for me to scout and get a good take on, but I think that's probably one of the groups that sneakily I think is going to be a really impactful group. We're talking about a couple big hitters at the top with the 2 Ohio State guys. And then obviously, you're going to sprinkle CJ Allen in there. And then a good handful of other guys that are going to hear their name in the top 100. I think this linebacker group's got a good chance, kind of based on my outside perception to really make a big impact on this year's draft class.
I agree wholeheartedly. For the past few years now, past few cycles, the off-ball backer class has been really, really less than desirable.
Yep.
And I think you're going to have a good handful of guys come off the board in the first, let's say, 50 to 75 picks. I think you're going to see a lot of off-ball backers go. I have grades on 24 off-ball linebackers so far, and I have 3 more that I have to finish film on because they both have been named. They have all been named to the Shrine Bowl, which I haven't gotten to yet. So all the guys that announced to the bowls, I try to get done. I don't get through every single one of them. I think you have to be inhumane and a absolute animal if you try to get through every single backer or every single player. Per se, I just threw up on my mouth a little bit when you said you got through 70 defensive linemen.
It's going to be the deepest, and when I'm saying defensive linemen, I'm counting edges in that.
Okay,
group.
okay, all right.
Let's put a little bit of a perception on that. I'm putting edges in that group, so it's about 35 each. But I mean, even for that group, I usually don't go that deep on any position group. Yeah. It's the one that I got an opportunity to do with Draft Professor. I really like that group, and oftentimes that's going to be who I ended up writing up for Cheesehead TV's draft guide. So like to get a nice deep view of that group. Like I said, there's probably going to be 10 guys from both edge and defensive line alone that go back. So, we'll see kind of how it shakes out, but I respect your grind on getting as many of those all-star players as possible.
Yeah. So, we're probably about, I'd say 6 weeks out from, the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl. You're going to start seeing some of the College All-Star series happens earlier in January. I mean, the college playoffs are starting, so we got a lot of football, down the pipe over the next couple weeks, next couple months. And I'm here for it.
It's a fun time to be a football fan for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, again, Newt Westen at NFL Draft _Weston on Twitter. You can find his stuff at zerotechdraft.com. A mountain and plethora of information, draft guide, breakdowns, the whole nine. Like Newt's a real deal. I love chopping it up with you, and you were the only one that I really thought about to do this first episode, because what better way to start with a mock draft, right?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree.
We're going to get into this real quick. Let me see if I can do this, and bada boom. Ladies and gentlemen, pretty simple. Odds and evens. I'm going to take the odds because it's my show. Like I said.
I walked on and Dom said, I got odds, you got evens.
I got odds, and shut your mouth. I got odds, and Newt's going to have evens. We're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. We both have a little diarrhea of the mouth, so we'll try to maintain that. And, listen, when something needs to be talked about, we'll talk about it. And something needs to be broken down, we'll break it down. Newt, being the Packer fan, he's got no skin in the game for round one here. Nope. So he doesn't really matter. But the Jets have 2 picks, in this first round. And, hey, Christ, it looks like, the way it goes, that the Jets' second pick could be pretty early, right? The Indianapolis could go on a losing streak here, and that pick could be easily in the top 15.
Number 15 is what just continuously keeps popping up over and over.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's important too, because I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to stop. Bring it up right now. The Jets have to. They got 4 picks in the top 50 this year in this draft. They got 3 picks in the top 32 next draft. Another 4 probably in the top 50 next year. I mean, they are locked, loaded, and ready to rock. To kind of reignite or restart this this influx of young, high drafted talent. But you only go as far as a quarterback, and the Jets haven't figured it out. They've tried on many different occasions to fill it. They've tried to draft quarterbacks in the past with most recently Zach Wilson, before that Sam Darnold, before that Mark Sanchez, and haven't really been able to put the necessary team around them. Both Sam and Zach struggled mightily with their offensive line, and Mark Sanchez had maybe the best offensive line in football over the past 20 years. However,
he couldn't avoid running into the back of him.
That's right. He where he left off was the skill positions. They different very veteran heavy team in those Sanchez years that just kind of got old quick. And the Jets have tried to put the Band-Aid on the bullet holes with the Aaron Rodgers of the world. Christ, with the Justin Fields attempts of the world and all that stuff, and that hasn't really seemed to help. So the Jets are going to go as far as they're not going to go as far as anything if they don't find and fix the quarterback. Now, is the quarterback that's going to be their savior in this draft class? I don't know. I really don't. But I do know that a coach and a new regime, a new GM and a new regime that's probably going to end up with 3, maybe 4 wins this year, can't go into next season, with the same mishmash at quarterback, or look to hope that you can convince a Marcus Mariota or a Malik Willis to come, lead the faction. Like I don't think Woody Johnson, the owner, is gonna really look towards another 3-14 season. So you have the capital right now. I think the 27 class as a whole, top to bottom, not just quarterbacks but players in general, is going to be much better. So I'm going to use what I can now and I'm gonna go get my quarterback. I'm gonna trade up here, Newt. What do you
Yeah.
think? I'm thinking about taking both of my ones and one of my twos.
What's just out of curiosity,
Sure.
what the ones are at 7
The ones are
and
at 7. Let's see. Well, let's enter the draft here and let's see where it's at. It's 7 and 18 right now. Let's
oh
go
man.
to
Yeah, I
Jets, the Giants. We're gonna do 7, 18, and a second next year for 1. We're gonna force that trade. And then we're gonna start the draft. And again, the Jets traded up for a reason. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the quarterback who's my quarterback number 1. I don't know. Everyone has their different opinions here. The only rules for this mock draft, just so you know, people, is we're not touching Arch Manning. He's off limits. He's really the only person that we talked about being off limits. That's kind of questionable. There's going to be plenty other guys whose names come up that probably go back, but it's December 11th right now. We're just assuming Arch goes back. And my number 1 quarterback is Fernando Mendoza.
yeah.
You
He's
know,
so hot right now.
yeah, and it's not even so much that he's hot. Like I watched, I really, really got into him at the end of the summer this year and broke down and got into his Cal tape from last year to see how he was going to look from last year to this year. Now, last year he did good things at Cal. Don't let anybody tell you wrong. There was a lot of things that needed to be cleaned up, right? He needed to figure out how to maneuver around, maneuver around the pocket. He had to figure out how to not be so dang inaccurate off platform. But I think going into Cignetti's offense this year, he kind of toned it down a little bit and helped him out. There's no better catchable ball that comes from any quarterback as it does from Mendoza. He's accurate. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He doesn't turn it over all that much. He's sneaky with his legs. I'm not going to say he's a dual threat, but if he needs to hurt you, he will. And the guy's got stones the size of Kansas. So
I like that.
He's the kind of guy, the cerebral assassin that I think will do really, really well in Tanner Angstrand's offense for the Jets. So I'm going to keep it nice and simple. He's going to be my pick, Fernando Mendoza, my quarterback 1. Welcome to New York Jets. Newt, you're up with the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to make this pretty quick because I think we all know that the Raiders absolutely need a quarterback. The Geno experience has not worked out like Pete Carroll obviously had hoped amongst other Raider fans, and so you really need to reset that position. Yet number 2, you have an opportunity with what is still a really good quarterback to be able to get and hopefully move forward in your program with, and that's going to be Dante Moore out of Oregon. Obviously, there's going to be conversations on, is he coming out? Is he going to stay? But for right now, we're considering him coming out, and with the way he's been playing, man, going 2 overall, that's tough to turn away. So Raiders are going to take Dante Moore here with the 2nd overall pick.
Yeah, it makes sense. And for all those who say the quarterback class stinks this year, it might. You never know. 5 years down the road, we might find out that these guys are just 2 hacks. But,
Yeah.
I specifically remember because I was heavily involved in it 5 years ago when you looked at the class of Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Justin Fields and Mac Jones. And we thought it was going to be such a spectacular class. And look what you get.
Yeah.
So, I guess the point is maybe you just never know. And listen, Mendoza, and you got 2 teams that need quarterbacks. So I'm fine with it. I get it. And I'm up with Tennessee. Tennessee's going to have a new coach. Tennessee's got a whole slew of issues, right? They got like serious issues. I can't tell you. Like, I don't think I don't think they got a wide receiver that I really, really want to hang my hat on that team. That doesn't really help. You're going to need to replace, at Tony Pollard at least, who looks like he runs in mud. The defense has holes all up and down. I think I don't know what the salary situation for Arden Key. I think he might be gone next year. I'm not sure. So to me, it's really one of two ways to go, and I'm going to kind of venture towards that more flexible chess piece of a player more so than what you see is what you get. And for me, that's Arvell Reese. I think he could play a little bit outside, stand up and play outside backer. I think you can rush him from all over the line, up and down. I like the idea of him, in those zone dogs where he looks like he's coming, but he flips his hips and drops into his zone, and you bring somebody else off the other end, an outside cornerback or something like that. Like for me, I just think the versatility that Reese would give this defense, more so than like a Ruben Bain who you could just line up and I'm not sure how his game is going to translate into the pros that is Ruben Bain as smoothly as somebody who like Arvell Reese, who I think can attack it and succeed in many different ways. So Arvell Reese is going to be the pick.
Yeah, so I was stuck between Reese, Downs, and a wide receiver for the Browns. So you've made that a little bit easier. It's a conversation. I'm not going to go quarterback here, even with Ty Simpson on the board, and it's not necessarily the way that he's played as of late, which has been a little bit of a struggle. But it's more so that the Browns with what they have, I think that there's a lot more that needs to happen there than just picking a quarterback right away. Maybe some people are screaming at me saying, "Newt, you're an idiot. Ty Simpson's there, go get him." But I'm gonna let the Shadur experiment cook a little bit longer, and maybe we find something from that. Maybe we don't, and in 2027 they're able to take advantage of some of that draft capital that they have and make some moves throughout this year and next year. But right now I'm gonna sit here and I'm torn a little bit. Caleb Downs is probably my number one player. And so, like, average, they're like drafting for value versus I think they need a wide receiver to kind of really fill out that room. Jerry Jeudy has been okay. Cedric Tillman's just been hurt so much. Isaiah Bond was, obviously for other circumstances, a UDFA, but it's just it's kind of tough right now. I want to help my boy Shitter if I'm going to stick behind him, but also Caleb Downs is on the board. And so I think I'm going to just kind of stick by my philosophy. The best player that's on the board, especially if it's a position I can use, I'm going to take him. So I think we're going to go with Caleb Downs here.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, Cleveland's got another pick left coming up in the end of the first round.
Yep.
And I believe they have 3 more between the second and the third round. So you're gonna have some opportunities to fill some of those holes. If you're that high on Caleb Downs, you don't pass him up. So I'm up with the Saints. This is for me a no-brainer. This is where I have Ruben Bain come off the board. I think he's that instant play. I think he can play 5 tech. If you need him to in odd fronts, I think he can line up outside and really, be that power rusher that this team desperately needs. Probably going to be the replacement for that Cam Jordan spot that's been
there you go. I knew you were going to get there.
Yeah, on this field, on this team for so long. And I think you can get there with 280-pound Ruben Bain. Not the most nimble, not the most twitchy or bendy guy, but, he will really, just run that long arm straight through your throat and into the quarterback. And I love that. Ruben Bain's going to be the kind of guy I think that New Orleans falls in love with. So I'm going to take him here. You're up with the Commandos.
Yeah, I think it would have been Ruben Bain here had you not taken him there. I thought there was a chance you might go wide receiver with the guys that are up there. And so I was kind of getting excited about it. But I think it makes this pick a little bit easier. There's a lot of holes that the Commanders have. And with that aging roster, they're looking to really fill in some youth at those positions that are getting old, and one of them is going to be Lattimore with that outside cornerback role. And I think, and you can take your pick. I have said before that I'm currently a little bit higher on Jamad McCoy as opposed to Mansour Dolane. I think they're both phenomenal cornerbacks.
Are you okay with McCoy in the top 10, even though he didn't play this year?
Based on his 2024 film, hell yes. He was that good. Obviously, I would have loved to see him play this year. And there's going to be, people that look at that and say he didn't play a snap. You don't see what that looks like. Take a look at his 2024 film. You will see how special he was as a player.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm more than happy to say that. Mansour Delane has looked so good, and he could easily be the one here. But I think that no matter what, it's going to be one of those two. I'm going to take my CB one currently, and that's Jamad McCoy. But if your flavors Mansour Delane because of the medicals and how that checks out, I understand it, but I'm going to go McCoy.
Yeah. It leaves me up with the Giants. This is, kind of a no-brainer. Actually, I shouldn't say that because Mansour Delane does make sense here. But, they already kind of invested in that first-round cornerback. I don't know if Joe Shane's going to want to dip back into that pool right away, especially when you have, you have Jackson Dart. You have, maybe Cam Scadaboo comes back, quasi healthy for next year. So you have some pieces. You need to get some more talent on that offense. For me, I honestly think that this would be a great spot for an offensive tackle. I just don't like any of the tackles. I don't think there's a top 20 tackle or top 10 tackle in this class, hands like by a lot. Maybe that's a hot take for me, but it is what it is.
I don't think it's hot when you say top 20. I think it heats up a little bit, but top 10, I don't think it's crazy to say that.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this tackle class. And the guys that I want when I say, I don't know if they're going to be a tackle or guard. Now, the Giants could get away with that because I think they could use one of those tackle to guard things if they move Marcus Bowe inside to center where I think he belongs. You might have that, but I digress. I'm going to put another weapon on the field for Jackson Dart. You get Neighbors coming back from his ACL tear, which happened early this season, so he should be back and healthy by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
I want to, and Darius Slayton is under.
Darius Slayton is locked to that team.
Yeah, Darius. Well, I mean, his contract is under. I think he's got another year or two that they're going to have him on the roster.
Yeah.
Now he's that kind of stretch, a stretch receiver. I wonder if they're going to bring back Wan'Dale Robinson.
I don't think they can, just based on they're paying Darius Slayton like he's a wide receiver too.
Yeah,
and they're a little bit tight on some things. I'm sure they'd love to bring back Wan'Dale because he's a safety blanket.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. All right, this might be a little bit hot take-ish. All right, it's not for me. I'm going to take Mekhi Lemon.
Okay,
I'm not going to replace. I'm not going to re-sign Wan'Dale Robinson, and I know that I have Slayton as my de facto X. I have Neighbors moving around the formation as my Z, and I'll pop Mekhi Lemon, who I think is so super talented. I think this guy is so good, and he doesn't get the same kind of kudos that Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate get in this class. Mekhi Lemon just catches everything, and what he can do affecting the game as a downfield blocker, as an edge setting blocker, I think he's going to help this offense and Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo with the way he aggressively attacks as a blocker. And then you got you got like a little Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of thing going there.
I like
with
that
with Mekhi Lemon. So he's a perfect fit. Another middle kind of intermediate target for Jackson Dart, who can get some yak, who can run those slot fades. He can do a lot of that stuff. So not normally the first receiver off the board, but for me, this one makes sense. I'll pass it to you for the Cardinals pick at 8.
Yeah, and just to kind of like harp on that, I don't think, and I think that there are 3 receivers at the top. I don't argue with anyone when they choose to take one of those three,
Yeah.
as opposed to the other two, because I think it's like almost a pick your flavor type thing. They've got the good and the bad with that. So I like Mekhi Lemon there. I'm gonna go with here. Make it really simple. Kyler Murray. I think we're hitting the end of the road with him. Obviously, you don't want to run it back with Jacoby Brissett just because, as good as Jacoby Brissett is as a backup, as a stopgap, he's not a franchise guy for you. You have an opportunity here to potentially get a franchise guy with this pick, with a player of that caliber still on the board. So we're going to go with Ty Simpson here out of Alabama. He's going to be a little bit farther down on the list here, but make no mistake, if you're talking about quarterbacks in this class as it currently stands, he's kind of fallen from grace a little bit with like a little bit more of that. Look, he is human, but man, the way that he's able to play it and throw the ball around the field in just a very limited sample size is really, really special. And I think that if he's in this draft and at this position, the Cardinals do not pass the opportunity to snag a future franchise quarterback.
Yeah, that's one. Like the whole Kyler Murray thing is, it's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's, if he's cut, he's going to be the cream of the free agency crop, regardless of position.
Right.
So, that can kind of throw a monkey wrench into a lot of things. So I haven't really thought about Kyler not being there, but if they're ready to move on from him, which, all accounts seem that they might be.
Yeah.
He might be, you might be onto something here. And it leaves me here with the Rams. And the Rams have 2 picks, right? The Rams own Atlanta's pick, which is this one that they're picking up now at 9, and they have their own at 31, right? So when I look at the Rams' needs, I think that they might be the best. Them and Baltimore might be the best drafting teams, or Philly, I should say, too. The best drafting teams right now in the NFL. Like the process that the Rams use is phenomenal. They really find like the diamonds in the rough, in the draft, and they supplement it in free agency. They do exactly what you're supposed to do.
Well,
right?
Dom, here's the thing that pisses me off about all 3 of those teams. I swear to God, as a draft media analyst, they're just picking the guys that everyone's screaming like, how haven't they been drafted yet? How haven't they drafted yet? And, they snag them. Baltimore with Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum, where like I think fell behind a lot of media consensus board. You got Mike Green also last year, and obviously there's off-field things. But then Jared Verse, Braden Fisk to the Rams. And it's like, they're just doing the no-nonsense approach. And it drives me nuts because I feel like I'm like, yeah. Like, obviously they're going to be good because they're picking good players. But it seems like a lot of these teams try to outsmart the system. It just lit me up. I apologize. I'll send it back to you.
No, it's all good. So, when you look at the team, though, okay, there's very few holes. There just is, and that's just the way they operate. Like, I think they need some depth on the offensive line, and I've already told you how I feel about this offensive line. I just don't know if that's worthy of the shot here. I think corner makes sense, especially with Mansour Delaney on the board. I think that makes sense. To me, I think this would be the perfect landing spot. I mean, in this mock draft, he's off the board already, but this is a Caleb Downs. You can with 2 picks in the first round, if you don't go Ty Simpson or the quarterback that you like to be the future behind Matt Stafford, I think you could take Caleb Downs and justify a safety this high, not only because he's good, but because he'll fit. He could take over for that. The Cam Curl, who's an unrestricted free agent. Kind of slide in.
Quentin Lake's gone too, and obviously he's more of a slot player for them.
Correct.
But they're going to have some holes in that secondary.
Yeah. So I'm leaning secondary, but I'm not going to lie. Receiver's not out of the question either. Like, while things are hot, you might as well keep them hot, right?
Yeah.
Puka's here. Devontae is, he's getting up there in age.
He's getting old.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they don't really have a true like go-to slot guy. So if you got Matthew Stafford, right? If you got him for one more year, which is probably all you're gonna have him for, you might want to reload. And I think Mekhi Lemon would be a great fit here. But I think Jordan Tyson is the way I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I like that.
I think he's got a little bit more versatility. You can play him inside and outside as well as you can with Puka and as well as you can with Devontae. And you have 3 guys now that are just like movable chess pieces in all different phases of the game, both young and old, that, like the rich get richer. I think they need a cornerback. We can look at that later. I think they need an offensive line depth. We can address that later on. They'll find the diamonds in the rough. Let's go add some more firepower to a really potent offense. You're up with the Bengals at 10.
This is so easy. The Bengals have been clamoring for an interior defensive lineman, and the best one in this draft just fell in your lap. He's a top 5 player for me. I just couldn't find, necessarily a fit because I'm trying to hit on, quarterback need, the Browns who just picked up Mason Graham last year, and Washington has got a million needs. But man, I'm going to take Peter Woods here. I think he is that good of a player. I think this is going to be, to the point that we've gotten to thus far, the biggest steal of the draft in terms of the player grabbed based on where they fell to, and obviously, fall in. But I really like Peter Woods, and I think if Bengals get him here at 10, that's a huge win for them.
Yeah. Peter Woods, I agree with you. I think at 10, it's kind of a no-brainer, kind of a steal there, if you will. Leaves me up with the Vikings. I think the hot take nowadays is Jeremiah Love to the Vikings, kind of the no-brainer. Could that help JJ McCarthy? I think so. I think that this offensive line is ragtag. They're missing some guys and injuries have hurt them. But yeah, I don't
injuries I get, yeah.
Yeah, injuries have hurt him. I don't think Will Fries or Brian O'Neill have played particularly good this year. They've had some injuries. Darrisaw's been in and out of the lineup himself. You have Jordan Mason, you traded for him. You have Aaron Jones, again, without knowing where those salaries are. I think offensive line could be in play. I think defense, I think you can always get better at the corner. They signed Byron Murphy. Harrison Smith, he's got to be close to 40. They got Josh, what is that? How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Metellus? Metellus, yeah, who's a stud. The guy's so freaking good. Andrew Van Ginkel, I think, is in his walk year. You could use another, pass rusher. Man, did I just talk myself into David Bailey here?
Well, they just grabbed Dallas Turner.
They do have Dallas Turner.
But Van Ginkel and then Grenard.
Grenard. They got Dallas Turner, who they've been using more as a DPR. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to go that way. I think this is where I'm going to have Mansour Delane come off the board.
You son of a bitch!
He's gonna line up opposite Byron Murphy, and his skill set. He's very versatile. He can play up and he can play up and press man. He can play back in zone. I think he's going to be everything that they want up there in Minnesota. For me, he's cornerback 1. The value's too good. I'll make it fit, and I'm sorry to hear that the Dolphins wanted him. That breaks my heart.
Dude, the really Dolphins. I'm sure it does for you. Oh my God, the Dolphins, and it's a conversation, and I think it's just going to go back to it, going between wide receiver to continue to help out the offense, which you want to be high powered. That's how they're built. They're built to be a high powered offense, and then the defense can, with their speed, make up in terms of stopping those big plays. If you don't have that high-powered offense, the whole thing crumbles, which it has over the last 2 years.
Yep.
And so like the conversation is, do they go wide receiver? But they have Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas as they're starting outside cornerbacks right now, and you really need to address that. The problem is now I don't see a cornerback that's worth it. You've got like Cisse, Avion Terrell. They're not, in my opinion, top 15 picks.
Correct.
Who is a top 15 pick is a guy named Carnell Tate, who can do a lot to help your offense. And I love the value here. If that's the other position that I'm going between and he's on the board, I'm going Carnell Tate.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that one, my friend. He's the perfect complement to Jalen Waddle, too.
Yeah,
so.
he really is. Just the size and the possession versus the speed that Waddle brings is going to be a really nice. If obviously that were to happen, would be a really nice pairing.
Yeah. So I'm up with Baltimore. Baltimore is making some moves here, right? They just re-signed Travis Jones to fill the middle. Kind of scary because that we might not ever see Nnamdi Madubuike play again with that neck injury, which is a shame. But I digress. They did just pay Travis Jones 3 years, $25 million.
They've been grooming him for a while now, and they were, the minute they got him in the building, they were excited about him.
I agree. I'm between two guys, and I'm going to talk this one out real quick as to not take up too much time. But Keldrick Falk seems like a Baltimore Raven kind of player. Like, he's your 5-tech. He's going to, be your shit kicker opposite your rush end, which, I'm assuming will be some combination of Mike Green and Draymond Jones if he's still there, who they got, midseason this year. And you have Keldrick Falk on the other hand. He might get some pressures. He might get a handful of sacks. He might fall into them, but that's not what he's there for. He's there just to, really take on some blockers, so, seal that edge, play like elite level run defense and offer something as a power rusher from the defensive line. The other option that I'm really thinking about, this might be where I take the first offensive lineman. Because I am not a Daniel Falele fan, and I don't know if they're going to bring Tyler Linderbaum back. So if they don't bring Tyler Linderbaum back, I think you can replace him with Andrew Voorhees, who has some center history back in his USC days. Even though he kind of settled in as a guard, and then as a tackle. He did start out as a center. So in a makeshift situation, I think you could pop Voorhees in, and maybe you have Emory Jones, who's a 3rd-round pick, battle with a rookie for one of those guard spots. So I'm going to have CeCe Mayanoa come off the board here.
When you started talking about interior guys and that flexibility, I kind of figured that. I like that.
Yeah, listen. I don't think he's a tackle. I think he's a guard at the next level. I love the way he finishes. He's got enough. He's got enough. Weight in the ass to last in that Baltimore. Tough power run blocking game. I think he's a great finisher. Yep. Mayanoa's the one. He's not my favorite offensive lineman in this class. He's my favorite fit to Baltimore. Let's
only on Project Prospect do you have an interior offensive lineman going as the first offensive lineman off the board. Yeah. You gotta love it. I'm gonna piss everyone off. I'm gonna make this quick and easy. He's on the board. They need a running back. Kansas City Chiefs. You are gonna snag Jeremiah Love, and you are going to give Patrick Mahomes a little bit more of a even split and balance in that offense. I think that's really what they need. They're trying to piece together Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, who really hasn't looked the same after the injury last year. Uh-huh. I think they're looking for a little bit of juice, and if you can do that and bring that element of your game up, it's going to help that team go a long way, and kind of having that bounce back that they're looking for.
Yeah. love that. It's hard. Oh, I love that, if you will. No, listen, it's a perfect pick, if you ask me. I'm up with Dallas. I thought Dallas was going to be really easy. Actually, it is going to be easy for me, but I'll get to it. I've been targeting slot receivers for Dallas. But Ryan Flournoy has been playing lights out this year. I actually think that they might have something there. I got to assume that they're going to return or they're going to re-sign Pickens or at least franchise him, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think your top three receivers are set. They just paid Jake Ferguson, so he's set. Yeah, it can give you some offensive line depth, but again, talk to you about my opinion on this line. They're going to need to replace Jadeveon Clowney, and this is where Keldrick Falk's going to come off the board for me. He's going to be opposite Donovan Ezaraku, and it works out perfect.
You keep doing this to me, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is so easy. Like I'm gonna have Keldrick Falk going to Carolina, and they can play him in that 3-4 system. And never mind, I don't get that because nothing comes easy on Project Prospect. Ooh,
that didn't sound good.
No, I think I know what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna take the next guy up, and I'm just gonna go with Caleb Banks, who's basically gonna play the exact same position, and he is extremely explosive. He's got about 30, 40 more pounds on his frame, but dear Lord, the way that he moves at that weight and at that height, the injury this year was not ideal, but I still watched his last two games, Tennessee and Florida State. And holy shit, does that guy move? So, we're going to do it. We're going to do Caleb Banks to Carolina to, kind of bolster that defensive line.
Yeah, I love Caleb Banks. Again, injuries are going to be big for him or proving that he's back from the injury. But I think he's closer to Peter Woods for me than a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I'm up with Detroit. Man, oh man, has there been a team more riddled with injury? Actually, maybe San Francisco, but other than San Francisco, has there been a team more riddled with injury than the Detroit Lions this year? I'm not even sure which way to go with them. There is, they need safety depth. They need some cornerback depth. I guess they could use another rusher as well. They use another edge rusher. They can use some more beef in the middle. Although they did spend a first rounder on Tyreek Williams, who hasn't really seen the field all that much this year. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, they got Lee McNeil too. That they paid him.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how long they're just trying to let that marinate.
Yeah. This might be kind of boring, but I think this is probably where the offensive lineman is going to get plucked, right? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to I don't want to do that. Man, maybe I'm not going to take an offensive lineman because Spencer Fano is my number one tackle on this class. But I think Spencer Fano is a true right tackle, and they got Panay Sewell there.
Yeah, you don't want to double dip.
I need a left tackle here, man. I need a left tackle.
I definitely think you should not go with Spencer Fano. That's the smart move.
I'm gonna.
You go Lomu. Lomu.
I don't think but Lomu doesn't even have a first round grade for me.
That's fair.
He just doesn't. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. This is easy. I'm gonna replace Alex Anzalone, who's in his walk year with Sonny Styles.
Detroit's gonna go with two
first round
linebackers.
That's right. We did it
in the first round in 3 years. That's, man, talk about team building right there.
We did it, and I'm doing it anyway.
God,
I could care less.
The problem is I hate that. The problem is I love it, and I hate that I love it because Sonny Styles is so good.
I guess I could have taken David Bailey and given Aiden Hutchinson another pass rush weapon on the field. I guess that would have made sense as well. But I'm looking at the depth of that team. Like Malcolm Rodriguez is the backup.
He's a fullback for them, basically.
Yeah, he doesn't really play.
Yeah.
Derek Barnes. I mean, when was he drafted? 2020. He was drafted in the. He's got to be in the COVID year, so they don't have a lot of age. They don't have a lot of depth. Now, listen, Campbell's contract coming up. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they see the linebacker position as kind of use, rinse, and repeat. So Sonny Styles is a Detroit Lion, and I'm not having anything. Detroit fans, you don't like it? Get at me in the comments. I dare you.
Oh, I love it.
You're up. New York Giants.
Well, you made it easy for me. We're gonna go Spencer Fano here. They really need to bolster that right tackle. They've got Eluminor. I can never say Jermaine.
Jermaine. Oh my God! Why?
Eluminor?
No, that's Alec Iomanor.
Illuminor. There it is. Jermaine Illuminor is. I'm gonna say he's not a guy that I get excited about. He is an older.
He's in his walk
tackle.
year too.
Oh, and then that makes it. I didn't even know that. That makes it so much easier. We got Fano on the board. Create a bookend pairing with Thomas and Fano, and really once again after we draft the wide receiver, continue to help out that offense.
Yeah, I agree. I like that pick. I'm up with Tampa Bay, which would be a great Sonny Styles destination if he was on the board. I did play myself, right? They need linebacker help in the worst way. They need edge rush help in the worst way. They could probably use maybe some cornerback depth. I don't know how important that is. They could use a wide receiver here. If Chris Bell doesn't get hurt, is this too early for him? Would they take another first round wide receiver after taking one last year? I don't know.
Oh, that's tough. I forgot about Ibuka. So hot take here. My wide receiver 4 is actually Denzel Boston. And I think he does a really good job of kind of, you talk about Ibuka stepping into the Godwin role, Denzel Boston stepping into the Mike Evans role.
Hot take for me. My wide receiver 4 is actually Jeremy Bernard. And I don't think he's a fit for what they need. Denzel Boston might be more of that prototypical Mike Evans ex-boundary receiver. I just don't know if I could take him in the top 20. He's not a top 20 player for me.
I get that.
Not when there's so many other needs on this thing. This is where I'm going to have David Bailey come off the board.
Yeah.
He's an instant plug and play replacement for Hassan Reddick. Gives you a little bit more juice off the edge, opposite Yaya Diaby. That's the play. Pittsburgh's on the clock, brother.
Man, this is where I'm not quite sure where I want to go with this. There's part of me saying KC Concepcion with the way that he would pair up with DK Metcalf, and they really need some juice in terms of their offensive play. But that secondary, I think, needs some help as well. So Avion Terrell is a legitimate option here. I truthfully like the cornerback depth when you start to get to rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah,
and I think Concepcion at this point, where it might be a little bit of a reach, he's such a unique player in terms of what he can do, and he pairs so well with DK Metcalf. And I know somewhere Bill Sparks is smiling out there hearing Concepcion come off at pick number 20. So I'm going to go with KC Concepcion here. Like I said, I like Denzel Boston better in terms of like a receiver, but I'm drafting effectively. I'm not drafting DK Metcalf again, but I'm drafting too similar of a receiver where they need that complement.
Yeah. I like it. I would have considered Concepcion right here for the Eagles as well.
Okay.
However,
I'm
not sure AJ Brown's going to be back. I mean, if there's a guy that is been poisonous to the punch, if you will, it's probably AJ Brown. I think that the other option I could look at also would be Avion Terrell, because I think he would be a phenomenal nickelback, and then you can move Cooper to the safety, or you can move Cooper outside if you wanted to. I don't know how much you want Marcus Epps playing or Sidney Brown playing, that post safety position. I
And I
think
think Cooper DeJean can do all of that.
exactly. That's why I'm saying I think you can.
Yeah.
I think cornerback. It's got to be cornerback or wide receiver. I think Chris Bell would be a great selection here. I don't know with an ACL in late November. I just don't know if he's going to be a first round pick anymore.
I mean, you completely lose him basically for next year.
Yeah.
The closest thing I can compare it to is like when Jameson Williams had his ACL tear, and he was a top 15 pick in that year's draft class, arguably wide receiver one pre-injury, and then that first year he had one catch, and he's not making an impact.
Yeah, and the Eagles have done it with Landon Dickerson before too. They took him when he was that year that he tore his ACL at Alabama. So I'm torn.
Pun intended.
I'm torn. Yeah, I don't know which way to go here. I'm gonna go with my gut though, and I'm gonna take the cornerback. I'm gonna take Avion Terrell to play the nickel, and I'm gonna use Cooper DeJean all over the place. I could play him outside. I could play him outside if I want. I could play him at one of the safety spots opposite Reed Blankenship. I think I get younger, faster, and better on the defense.
Yeah, I like that. This is where I think no matter what, God, I might have to just like take one from your notebook here, and I want to go offensive line because Lord knows they need help on the offensive line.
Yeah,
I hate drafting a interior offensive lineman when we've had one tackle go off the board. But I think my next interior offensive, you know what? This is where I'm gonna pop my take on here. I'm gonna put my guy on this, and everyone that's listening can throw tomatoes at me through the screen. I don't give a shit. I'm going Caleb Tiernan here because I absolutely love this dude. I think he is a first round tackle. I think that the arm length is going to be in question. But if that's your question, a Houston Texans offensive line needs all the help they can get in any of those positions. And I think Tiernan's going to be able to help out as either a tackle or a guard. So I'm going to go Caleb Tiernan here because I think, like I said, he's a first-round talent, in my opinion. I know that I am a little bit out of consensus with that. But I'm going to pop my guy in here.
Yeah, hey, go get it, man. I had no problem with that. Like I said, I am so uninterested in this tackle class that like you could have if Tiernan's your guy and you wanted to go get him, that's fine. If it was Blake Miller or Caleb Lomu, I'd be fine with it too. Like I'm so uninterested in this tackle class. To me, they're all like just like meh.
Lomu was the consideration. I think Lomu's going to be a tackle no matter what. I just think it's like where do you have him graded? Where I think Tiernan, while he's 6'7", I think that he's got enough of an anchor and pop to him where he can be tackle guard. So my thought process out there for that.
Yeah, I'm up with the Bears. I think there's a couple ways to go. I think an interior offensive line is not out of the question. To play next on the right side, probably next to what's his face, Darnell Wright. I think, man, this is another place I think I would have loved to have Sonny Styles come off the board. Yeah, I think linebackers are plays. And listen, I can make an argument. I don't know how you feel about him, but I can make an argument for CJ Allen in the first round.
I love CJ Allen. I think the minute you hit the 20s, I think CJ Allen, you have a legitimate argument to take him.
Yeah. I also don't know if I don't know what's going on with Kyler Gordon and his health. Kevin Byard's there, and he's just getting older by the day. Tyreek Stevenson's I'm a big fan. I like his game. they could use some more beef up front. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. This is Caden
Don't do it.
McDonald. This is Caden McDonald coming off the board.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it to me again, Dom.
Well, you thought I was going to take. Oh, I know. I know. I was going to take TJ Parker, but
you were. Were you actually?
I was actually going to take TJ Parker until I realized that Caden McDonald is on the board, and they need some beef in the middle.
They do. Thank God.
Absolutely. They got Gervin Dexter, who's that really slick, penetrating, more so penetrating 3-tech. Give me some beef in the middle, and Caden, who's, even though it's only been for 1 year, he's been wonderful this year, man.
He's been so good. I think he is my number one tech. Yeah. So I think that he's phenomenal with that. So I got no problem with that, and it makes me even happier once again because I'm going to be able to get for the Bills who drafted their beefy player last year with or no, who did they grab last year?
Deion Walker and TJ Sanders.
Deontay Walker and then Bull Rush. So they got their beef in the middle. We're gonna have the Bills go with TJ Parker, and we're gonna get him off the board.
Yeah, listen, TJ Parker, I think is kind of he started out in the summer he was in everyone's top 10 and then just kind of fizzled. I don't think he was as bad as I just think he was part of a really underwhelming Clemson team.
Yep,
I
agree.
I just think he was just part of a really, really underwhelming Clemson team. So I don't think he's as bad. He'll probably be a better pro than he was this year in college. That's that. And I'm up with the Chargers. Man, they have, I mean, do I dare take? Yeah, I guess I do. I think this is where I take Vega Iona.
I was gonna say they got like the worst offensive line in football right now.
They got. I think you got to take the interior. Well, I mean, both the tackles are hurt, but both when they're healthy, they're fine at tackle. But Mekhi Becton has been awful. Bradley Bozeman has been awful. Zion Johnson's been awful for years. I'm gonna take Iona here and secure a shit kicker in the middle.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. Niners, you're up.
I've been kind of, toying with this guy for a while. I think you get to the Niners and you start seeing a real need for this in their offense. Continue to help Brock Purdy. This is where Denzel Boston comes off the board for me. I think with what he can do and his presence. And like I said, I'm closer to him being with that top three than most are. I think the top three are clearly the top three. However, I don't think Denzel Boston is, light years away from them.
Gotcha. Leaves me up with Cleveland, and it's pretty easy at this point. This is Caleb Lomu coming off the board. They have no offensive lineman coming back next year. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if DeJuan Jones is under contract or not. But
he might be on his fourth year next year.
DeJuan Jones isn't going to preclude me from taking another young tackle. I can move DeJuan Jones to the right side where he belongs. Caleb Lomu can play the left side. No brainer for me. Dallas Cowboys up for you after I took Kendrick Falk last time for them.
This is fitting. I'm picking Green Bay's pick. So oh darn, we've got Micah Parsons instead of this pick. Not going to regret that one. God, that feels good to say.
Right?
I'm still smiling every time I think about that trade.
You should be.
I'm just looking here. I want to ask you this. Oh, damn, I forgot they grabbed Ezraku. I was thinking about Cassius Howell here.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of Cassius Howell. I wonder how the NFL is going to look at him.
He's going to have such short arms.
He's going to have 30-inch arms, 31-inch arms.
Yeah, and he's going to be a DPR. He's a goddamn good DPR.
Yeah,
which is where I see him with that, and that's kind of where I'm like, is
for
that
me
worth it?
For me, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not directing you, but if you're looking for a pass rush specialist, I'm taking R. Mason Thomas every single time.
That's fair. I got Mason Thomas a little bit further back.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
think D back is also an area that you can look here.
yeah, I was thinking about Cisse. So my thought is either CJ Allen, it is a edge rusher. I forgot they got Ezeraku, so I'm not necessarily like as committed to that.
Yeah.
Or it is a defense. I'm like honestly, I'm kind of thinking about Dylan Thiernan here.
Wow.
Um,
I love it.
I like that was kind of where I'm leaning. I also really do like Brandon Cisse and AJ Harris. Um, so I actually like don't necessarily know where to go. Um, I think that God, who are their cornerbacks? I don't want to take forever on this pick. I want to make sure we move
Dallas.
along.
Who do they have?
Well,
Dallas has
They got Savon Ravel, who's finally like kind of making his
correct.
way back.
And then they have what's his face? Diggs
Yeah.
on the other side.
So I think what that means that I'm gonna do is because they're playing with maybe a little bit more of an underwhelming middle of their defense. I'm gonna go with CJ Allen here. I like that for this team. I like kind of solidifying the middle of that defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great fit. You can even if you sold me on Anthony Hill too.
Yep.
I think they have Anthony Hill already in Demarion Overshone.
Yep.
So CJ Allen kind of is your
I want
more
the I
run
want that
fitting
green dot,
downhill.
that
Yeah,
green dot, rum thumping Mike linebacker.
absolutely. I agree. I'm up with Seattle. Um, Seattle is an interesting team. Um, they're very old on the defensive line. They really are. I mean, outside of Byron Murphy, Leo Williams has had a resurgence, but he's got to be 32.
The fact
Jaron Reed. I mean, he played in Green Bay in what, the 80s, for fuck's sake. They got, they got DeMarcus Lawrence there, so they're really old up front.
their tackles are younger though, but it's like
Yeah.
the middle because they got Lucas and they have
Oh, I was talking
God.
about the defensive front.
Oh,
Yeah. No. Jaron Reed and DeMarcus Lawrence and Leo Williams are all got to be at least pushing 31, 32.
they got Byron Murphy the second.
They got Byron Murphy the second playing inside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's really it, right?
You're
Derek
right.
Hall.
You're right. Yeah,
Is Derek Hall still on the team?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Um, they got Ernest Jones playing the Mike. He's old. I know that they spent a pick on Tyrese Knight. I think in last year. Their defensive backs, man. I think the regression of Devin Witherspoon needs to be studied. He's just turned it to be really bad.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you got Josh Joe playing the opposite boundary. Nick Emanwari at the nickel is phenomenal. Reek Wolin stinks. He's gone. This is a cornerback slot. That's what it is. I've decided this is a cornerback. Which one do you do? I happen to be a huge fan of Chris Johnson, but I think he's a slot guy. I think that's the one that they don't need here. So you're talking on the boundary. You're talking Mike Mike McDonald. Couldn't think of his name for a second. You're talking Mike McDonald, defensive mind, wants to come get you. I need a guy who can play a little bit of man coverage. Give me Brandon Cisse. I like Colton Hood a whole lot too, but give me Cisse here and let it ride. Patriots are up. They can go a bunch of different ways. I can't wait to see what happens here. I know what I would do. I want you to make your pick, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do for the Patriots.
I want line, but no. So you went Cisse?
I did.
Okay. I want line, but I'm not taking Caden Proctor here.
No.
I'm not gonna do what you want me to do, I feel really bad, but um, I am gonna go Cassius Howell here. I'm gonna put a dude who's gonna be a DPR in a team that's gonna put up some points,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna let him feast.
gotcha.
What are you what? Because I know you weren't going Cassius Howell. What were you gonna
I
do?
was not. I think this is a perfect spot for Kenyon Sadiq.
I thought about that, and like I said, like Hunter
They
Henry.
need I mean, they need receivers still because I don't know how much more Diggs is going to give them. And they need guys that can kind of split the seam and get up the middle. They have Hunter Henry, who's an old man, kind of
Yeah,
hanging around. This would for me is a Kenyon Sadiq special, but
that's totally fair.
I digress, and I'm up with the Rams,
Who took Jordan Tyson?
who took Jordan Tyson the first time around. Um, yeah, I don't know here. Do I want to take? AJ Harris would make sense. We talked about that they need a cornerback. Um, maybe this is where I have some offensive line depth come off. Let me look at my board here. Let's look at my tackle board here. Yeah, I'm gonna go tackle. I don't know if he's where he is on this board here.
I'm curious now.
Trevor Gooseby
Oh, I like that.
coming
I
off the board. Left right versatility. I don't think he's scheme specific. Doesn't have to play right away, but I think he's got a high ceiling, a lot of upside.
I don't think
Goosby's the
he's
man.
coming. I don't think he's coming out this year.
Has he declared that he's going back?
He has not said either way.
Okay.
My inkling would be that he's not going to, but
Yeah.
obviously if he does, I like him, and I think this is phenomenal. I really do like that a lot.
Yeah.
Man, I get to end this. This is where Kenyon Sadiq's going to come off the board.
Yes.
It's too easy at this point.
What a great way to finish that too. Yeah, no, you're right. That's a great landing spot for Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, I was hoping Ingram made more of an impact this year. Ages kind of caught up with him finally,
Yeah.
and you want something obviously for Bo Nix. I'm curious as to like how much rapport him and Sadiq have. With that
That's
year.
fair. I didn't even put that.
I'm
I
kinda
didn't even put
curious.
2 and 2 together there, man. That's a fair point.
So
That's a fair point. Well, listen, we got through it. A little bit over an hour. Not too bad. We didn't talk all that much.
we planned for 45 and in an hour and
Yeah,
15.
we got. Yeah, it's close enough, man. Sometimes it just happens that way. Pretty good. I'd say not too many crazy picks. Maybe Sonny Styles, doubling up at first round off ball backers might scratch some heads. Maybe Caleb Tiernan, who's got like day 3 grades all over the place going around 1.
Day 3 is ludicrous.
Maybe that's it. Outside of that, I think everything looked good, man.
Yeah, I think we kind of both got like, our little treat pick where, we wanted to have some fun. But I think for the most part, there's the fits across the board make a ton of sense. You pissed me off and staked me on a handful of picks, which were really, really good ones. And I can't be too mad at you because I totally agree with what you did most of the time.
Listen, Newt, tell them all about Zero Tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting to kind of with draft season ramping up. Up there, I have articles that I've been posting for my first round draft grades and my guys. Been trying to get scouting cards out for them. I'm going to be putting up my position rankings, and I also have linked to there my prospect grades Google sheet that you can see at any time, free of charge, 100% public facing. Something that I have tried to be really thorough with this year and very calculated with how I'm giving my grades out. I'm trying to be very transparent with that. So all that you can find on zerotechdraft.com, and as well as on the app formerly known as Twitter, my handle at NFL Draft _Weston, where I'm posting all of those thoughts as well as those rankings.
Yeah, and guys, you can find all of Newt's contact information, down below. And again, I just want to reiterate, please, if you haven't done so far, like the video, leave a
Please.
comment, hit the bell for notifications, do all that stuff, become a subscriber to Project Prospect. It helps the algorithm a whole bunch and gets my stuff out to the masses, because now it's go time, man. I know a lot of people, grind on their channels, 24/7, 365. I don't. I should.
No, you have a life that you enjoy.
Yeah,
How dare you?
I don't, and I should. But when it's this time of the year, it's go. So any help I could get, I appreciate. And leave some discourse and leave some comments in there, man. Tell us the picks that you like. Tell us the picks that you don't like. It's okay. We're big boys. We can take it. And
I've been criticized before. Trust me.
Yeah. I got some really, really cool stuff lined up for the channel. I can't wait to share it with all you guys over the next couple months. It's go time. April 24th is right around the corner, if you will. But Newt, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for coming on and co-hosting with me. Merry Christmas to you and yours if you celebrate. Happy, safe New Year, and I guarantee you we're gonna talk and we're gonna hop on the show again soon.
Can't wait.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you're stayed for this whole thing, I appreciate you. If you just fast forwarded to get to your team and be disappointed, I appreciate you. Until the next time, I'm Dom C, and this is the Draft Dodgers. Peace out.